Wait, this thing is not on. Put it on video.
All right, let me see.
The history of NASCAR hating on African Americans. NASCAR and the sponsors have had 70 years of systematic discrimination to people of color, the Hispanics, the blacks, the Asians. This discrimination started in 1948 when the France family created this sport. When the France family created the sport. We're in the year 2018. NASCAR, if not now, when? During this historical time celebration of the birth of Dr. Martin Luther King, people of color are still fighting. It is sad Monster Drink, Xfinity, Camping World, which is the profit, we are still fighting this systematic discrimination. For 70 years in the greatest country on earth, you all have not allowed our children of color to participate in the world of motorsports. What you are telling people of color is that no woman, unless she is a white woman, can bear a child that will drive in a car in the world of NASCAR. 70 years. Black community, it is time for all this to be cut out. There is no way on earth that you can tell me or anybody of color that a woman of color cannot bear a child in her womb that will never be able to drive a car in NASCAR. General Motors, Ford, Toyota, and you are supporting this systematic discrimination. We live in a different world today. The culture is different. The climate is different. How many billions of dollars has Napa made off of people of color from shithole countries? And there are millions of them. There are millions of them. The amount of money that people of color spend in the world of motorsports, blacks spend $1.3 trillion, but yet we have to be up under this type of systematic discrimination in the world of NASCAR. There's a saying in the world of NASCAR that they've had for 70 years, and they have held to that. The saying in the garage is that a nigger or a Jew will never run nothing up in here. And since the year 1948, they've held to that. It is a sad world that we live in where a man can walk around with merchandise inside of a NASCAR track that says no niggers in NASCAR. This is the year 2018. General Motors, Ford, Toyota, Monster Drink, Camping World, Xfinity. We spend $1.3 trillion in this country every year. But yet, you still come back to the womb of a woman of color. Regardless how educated the Hispanic is, regardless how educated the black is, the Indian, the Pakistani, for 70 years, you keep telling these mothers of these children, the fathers that fight, the very blanket that covers you, the white privilege of NASCAR. But yet when they come back to this country with limbs missing, there's still no nigger in NASCAR. Monster Drink, you are the title sponsor of NASCAR in the Cup Series. But yet, you are still promoting no niggers in NASCAR. There's one thing for you to sell that garbage, that product with all the chemicals, mainly in the black communities, Hispanic communities. But yet, even when we brought this to your attention, you are still supporting that systematic discrimination since 1948 of no niggers in NASCAR. The amount of money that you are making off of people of color, you don't have a problem with the Confederate flag. You know damn well, Monster CEO, that they're flying that Confederate flag in front of these young kids. How does that make them feel? Then when the minority community brought it to you, Monster, you turned a naked eye. You turned a naked eye. Xfinity is owned by Comcast. 57% of every subscriber for Comcast is a person of color. Do you think the CEO of that got together with NASCAR and said, this possibly cannot be right? You all have had 70 years and you've only had 4 drivers, and not one black driver has ever had a full-time ride. You're supporting this systematic discrimination in America. During the Martin Luther King birthday historical Black Month that is coming up, Camping World is dear to the minority communities because Marcus is actually the celebrity for the movie called, the reality show called The Prophet. You see how he embraces people of color on his Prophet show? He says he loves everybody. He doesn't love them enough to make NASCAR put blacks in his Camping World trucks. He owns the 3rd series. But he wants us to keep buying the products from Good Sam. Out of all the CEOs, I really would expect it for him to get NASCAR in line, for him to make a difference. This is part of the history of NASCAR hating on African Americans.